Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shashank Sethi, and I run corporate communications at Droom. And I'm the host for the day. A very happy Dashera to everyone. I would like to thank Kalinga Literary Festival team to inviting to host this discussion with Sandeep Aggarwal, who is the author of Fall Again and Rise Again. Fall Again, Rise Again is the autobiography of Sandeep Aggarwal and co-authored by Sunny Sen. Sandeep is a serial tech entrepreneur, philanthropist, and angel investor. He's the founder of $2 billion internet companies in India, Shopclues.com, which he founded in 2010, and Droom, which he founded in 2014. And prior to founding Shopclues, Sandeep was among the top ranked analysts covering global internet sector based out of Silicon Valley. Sandeep has an MBA from Washington University in St. Louis and holds a US patent. I'd like to thank the august audience for the illuminates and bibliophiles, random browsing stumbled who joined this while clouding on the internet, I would say. Before I start the conversation, I have very important two announcement for the attendees. We have got a Twitter contest for our attendees at KLF Samvad today. Just tweet your favorite moments from the session. Use hashtag Fall Again Rise Again and tag author at the rate Sandeep AG and Kalinga Festival at the rate KALINGALITFEST Kalinga Fest. Three members with the most tweets will win author signed copy and exciting merchandise. Today, we'll be discussing the book titled Fall Again, Rise Again with the author Sandeep Aggarwal in the Bhava Samvad series of Kalinga Literary Festival. So we'll take some question and one more important point. We'll take some question post 45 minutes. So please send your question in the comment box on the Facebook, Twitter and YouTube from whichever platform you joined us for this session. With that, let me invite Sandeep, and I wanted to share that Sandeep has temporarily almost lost voice due to the throat issue, and that's just because of the weather change. Welcome, Sandeep. It is an immense pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Shashank, and good afternoon, everyone. I hope all of you are keeping safe and healthy wherever you are. Happy Dashera to all of you. And thank you, Kalinga Literary Festival, for hosting us. And happy to be here. And I'm sorry, I never had a very good voice, but it's badly affected because I almost lost the voice due to some throat issues.
Thank you, Sandeep. But thanks a lot. Even after the bad throat, you joined us. That's much more important. So let's start the discussion, Sandeep. I would like to start. So let's start with your journey first. Please tell us something about your journey in a nutshell.
Sure, Shashank. So hi everyone. So basically, I was born and raised in Chandigarh in a typical middle-class family. My father worked for government for almost 35 years, and we will transfer from one place to another every 3 years. So new school, new friends, new teacher, new home, new neighborhood, which kind of is probably gave me multiple learnings every 3 years. Then I completed my undergraduate from Kurukshetra University and did my master's in finance from Indore. And then ran a small investment banking boutique firm, which was a family-owned operation in Chandigarh. And then in year 99, I went to US for my MBA. That time .com boom was at peak. Every stock was doubling per day, and internet had a promise to change the whole world. Sadly, it crashed that time in 2000, and I ended up working with Charles Schwab, world's largest online stock brokering firm based out of San Francisco. Had an opportunity to work very closely with the legendary founder of Charles Schwab, Mr. Chuck Schwab. Then I ended up working with Microsoft in their corporate headquarters in Washington, Redmond, Washington. Had an opportunity to work with all senior leaders, including Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer. Then I joined Wall Street as an internet research analyst, and I covered companies like Google, Netflix, Facebook, LinkedIn, Microsoft, Expedia Priceline. And in 2010, when Make My Trip was going public, I thought that something has started happening finally in India in internet sector. While internet was a 17-year-old that time, I thought let me as a research analyst pick up the coverage for Make My Trip, which will bring me closer to my home nation, and perhaps I'll contribute because I had seen the same trajectory a decade back in USA, 6 years back in China, and many parts of the world. While doing all the research, I realized that India is ready for prime time for e-commerce while it's a 17-year-old industry. And so I started Shopclues and moved to India first time with a one-way ticket in 2011. Put all my eggs in one basket called Shopclues. Also convinced 4 more Indians living in Silicon Valley like me to come and join me. We started as a 35th entrant into Indian e-commerce. Had the least amount of money raised. Within 6 months, we became fourth largest. Within 4 years, we were very fortunate to become a unicorn and the fifth ever unicorn in digital economy. And then I ran into some personal legal crisis, a big magnitude crisis. And then after that, I started Droom in 2014. And before COVID, Droom had almost touched 8,500 crore rupees in annual business and a large team, large impact. And I continue my journey, and happy to be here. And a lot of that is shared through the book we are discussing today.
Yeah, Sandeep, as you said, book. The book title always fascinates me, like Fall Again, Rise Again. So my next question is towards that only. Give us some flavor of failures and rejections and why they are really important in life.
Sure, Shashank. Look, failures, rejections, disappointments, they are the part and parcel of entrepreneurial career choice, but also for the life. So what has happened, like for example, when I went to US, I had a good resume. I wanted to work. I was very enamored and fascinated by Wall Street, and I wanted to work on Wall Street. Because of my resume, because of my previous background, almost every possible investment bank we had heard called me for interview. Many spent $3,000, $5,000 each for my travel and hotel stay. Industry was booming. The investment banks were very desperate for investment banking talent. And every possible investment bank called me. Everyone interviewed me with full fanfare and gave me fair chance. But I could not crack even a single and could not convert even a single one into a job offer. So I got a 37 rejections. All of them are with me even now. But it taught me a lot. That time it was very stressful. Of course, 5 years later, I ended up joining Wall Street, and almost every possible investment bank wanted to hire me. And in fact, every possible investment bank I wanted to work at did give me offer. So, like everything comes around. But second thing, Shopclues was the fifth unicorn. It was way ahead of its time. But when I was starting, 31 VCs rejected. They said that India is absolutely not a country for marketplace. It's a low trust country with small businesses. They don't know English. They don't know technology. I don't think marketplace will work. 31 VCs rejected, including one VC rejecting me so hard, so harshly, that for 4 months I had shelved the idea of becoming an entrepreneur. I was so discouraged and disheartened. But ultimately I pushed back and started doing it. We can discuss maybe later on, but then the day I realized that Shopclues has now arrived, it will definitely be $1 billion company soon and will go public. I ran into one very massive legal personal crisis in the United States. Had to live there for 13 months. So all I'm trying to say is, these failures, so I have a lot of successes, a lot of failures. Why they are important is because they tell you that nothing is straight line. Anything which can go up can go down. Anything goes down will go up. Entrepreneurship is the real test of one's conviction. Even life, you have to just march ahead, right?
Hmm.
And failures will teach you some lesson. Success will teach you some lessons. In my view, failure teaches you more than success. And if you have series of successes, no failure, you are just very special. And as they say, it's better to be lucky than smart. But really, failure, rejection, disappointments makes you tougher and ready for the things which will become very handy when you're on a trajectory of a bigger success.
No, thanks, Sandeep. You shared like lots of failures you failed, and how you rose from that. That's a story in itself. And I think failures is the first step to get into the success mode. That's the way forward. One thing, Sandeep, as you mentioned that initially you were rejected by 37, you had 37 rejections, and after how the ball revolved, and you had like offer letter from every possible company, and while you were one of the renowned Wall Street analyst, what made you to start Shopclues? Why did you start Shopclues? You were in a well settled career, well earning career, I would say. Why did you start Shopclues?
Yeah. Uh, Shashank, thank you for asking that question. Uh, yes, you know, investment banking is something I had always aspired. In fact, that was one of the reason I either wanted to work in technology company or on Wall Street. That's how I moved to USA. I did try. They gave me my fair chance. Got rejected 37 times. Then worked with Charles Schwab and Microsoft. Built good resume. Learned so much more things. Finally got multiple competing offers. Wall Street typically is very competitive. If you are not good, they'll kick you out within 3 months. It's very performance based. uh, where it's very merit based, but traditionally has been rewarded, extremely conservative, very predictable people in terms of background, race, ethnicity. So I built my career there with a lot of hard work and effort, had a lot of people who were mentor and guide, and was able to make almost $1 million as my last compensation on Wall Street. I used to be on CNBC, Fox News, ABC News. Sometime it was very privileged to be on a same program, and President Barack Obama is giving update on Iraq war, and I'm talking about Google's earnings. So it was very rewarding. I used to hang around with all the legendary founders because I covered their companies as a Wall Street analyst. And but as I mentioned earlier, when 2010 make my trip went public and I came to India to write a research report, I wrote a report called "Has India Internet Has Finally Arrived," which became the sector defining report for India Internet because it's very tiny. That time I realized that the Walmart of India is not going to be Walmart Corporation, it's going to be an online company. And that online company is going to be a marketplace, not any of the e-commerce company that time which operated like an inventory led model. So I thought, how many times before you die you can clearly see that you have an opportunity to create a category leader. So I reached to a stage where the regret of not doing Shopclues would be bigger than anything I give up. And with that in mind, literally on my way back from India to San Francisco in a flight, I wrote the business plan. It was on 10th October 2010. And exactly on the 10th anniversary of that, we launched the book Fall Again, Rise Again. I wrote the business plan for Shopclues, spent multiple months, had a very demanding corporate job, so we'll do moonlight, weekends, late nights, and eventually ended up coming to India and started Shopclues.
Wow, Sandeep, good to know that you wrote a business plan for Shopclues while way back from India to San Francisco in a flight. So my next question is like something surrounding that only. Was Shopclues first, or desire to move back to India was the first? What was the first?
Uh, Shashank, actually, if my parents are hearing and listening to this, I'll say no. India desire to India move was first, but I'll be honest with you. I was not one of those immigrant in USA who had always wanted to just come back. My both kids were born in USA. I built all my social, emotional, professional circle in USA. I was deeply vested. I'm very proud Indian. I want India to be playing much bigger role, and I'm contributing for that, and I have always. But that time, I'll be honest with you, it was Shopclues first, not India, and somehow I got lucky that that I got a chance to create first ever marketplace, independent of any category in India, right? So that opportunity, I'll be honest with you, if that opportunity existed in Siberia or Uganda or somewhere else, I would have gone there. But I just got lucky that was in India. So I was able to kill multiple birds with one stone. A, it is in my home country. I will meet my friends, family from India, and especially my parents more often, and I would be able to contribute in a nation building. So, but yes, it was Shopclues first. But in my case, I just I went in a very methodical way of assessing the market, its size and opportunity, and it was just a luck that it had to play out in India.
Thanks, Sandeep. And as you rightly mentioned, I hope your parents are not watching this because they would love to hear that coming back to India was always first
Right,
priority.
right.
Okay, so Sandeep, while I was reading the book, one particular era, and I read that I actually three, four times just to understand because such kind of incidents can be a big trauma for everyone's life. So I would love to just hear, if you don't mind, I would like to ask a kind of a personal opinion here. Uh, you mentioned that you got into the legal crisis, which is well publicized, right? So tell us more about the legal crisis in USA from 2013. Uh, that not only put you, your family, and Shopclues in trauma, but I think almost entire startup community. And I remember during that time, I almost started my career. Like it was just 2 3 years. Everyone in India and so many on Wall Street, they were in shock. So if you can just share something around that.
Sure. Shashank, basically, I was a Wall Street analyst after working with Charles Schwab and Microsoft for multiple years. I covered internet sector like Google, Yahoo, Amazon, eBay, Expedia, Priceline, Facebook, Netflix. Many of the companies, including Facebook, were large but private that time. I was top ranked analyst by ranked by Bloomberg, Financial Times, and many other rankings. Uh, I came to India on my own accord, started Shopclues. But in 2013, so I used to go to US every 6 months because both of my kids are American and I had a green card. So there was one of the condition that I must enter into US once in 6 months. Otherwise, it will be considered as if I have abandoned my US permanent residency. So in one such trip, I went to US with my ex-wife and kids, and we went to Disneyland. We went to San Diego. We met a lot of friends and family because we were like everyone was very happy seeing us. We used to go every 6 months, and then one day on 29 July 2013, I come back from a lunch from our family, and I get surrounded by 1 dozen FBI agents, gets arrested, and they tell me that the Department of Justice and Security Exchange Commission have indicted me for insider trading as my role as a Wall Street analyst for an incident which occurred in July 2009, 4 to 5 years before they showed up at my door. Based
Okay.
on the information they gave me and the advice of my attorneys, I ended up pleading guilty and cooperated with the US government in a high profile investigation on insider trading. Uh, Somehow the case kept on getting delayed. There was a lot of things factually available in the government findings, and one thing was very clear, that I was a Wall Street analyst, not a hedge fund manager. I did not make money. I did not trade or use that information to trade or to make money. Anyhow, long story short, I ended up pleading guilty. The case kept on lingering along. Government signed with me a plea bargain agreement for my cooperation. And then all of a sudden, last year, we started hearing that based on the development in the law and the new information, perhaps the something which was not even a theoretical possibility for me, especially given that I pled guilty based on what government told us. Uh, the development took place in a way which we never thought in our wildest dream, is that my case may get dismissed and dropped. And fortunately, in February of this year, one day, like on the eve of Valentine's Day, I heard a great news that after 7 years of wait, roughly 6.5 years of wait, Department of Justice dismissed and dropped all charges, and we did a settlement with the Security Exchange Commission of USA. So during this time, obviously, I suffered a lot of collateral damage. I lived in USA for 13 months. I used to run Shopclues while it was night in San Francisco, because it was daytime in India, and used to deal with my attorney and public prosecutors, part of my cooperation with the government. Ultimately had to resign before I pled guilty. Lot of other things happened. Was away from my family, kids, parents, Shopclues. Shopclues came to so close of closing down that we were running the company with our own credit cards.
Oh.
And there were a lot of other things in terms of the hardship. I lived, there was no light at the end of the tunnel. I thought maybe the life has ended. I was on the front page of every possible newspaper, magazine, in terms of a famous former Wall Street analyst pleading guilty. And so it was very damaging.
But
Me,
one thing, like it looked like very damaging. But and tell us, like, how life was after the huge damaging legal case, and how did you handle that entire crisis, and
yeah,
what were the main learnings you would like to share with the audience?
yeah, sure. So Shashank, I mean, that time, honestly, for me, I was very deep into Shopclues. Shopclues, I have two boys, and literally, I don't know whether Shopclues I will call as a boy or girl, but I would call it, I literally had three kids. So I never saw a life beyond Shopclues. It needed me very badly. And it was a culmination of what I was doing for the last 15, 16 years. Unfortunately, I had to live in USA. So first of all, I planned the continuity of Shopclues so that the company, which has also raised significant amount of money, has immense potential, has business continuity, and unleashed true potential. I took promise from my 5 team members that you will never have jealousy, fear, and insecurity from each other. And even if the company is unable to pay you single penny, you will not leave for 15 months. In 15 months, if we don't go anywhere, you can leave. Then I basically worked with investors very closely to create a handover of Shopclues and create a succession plan, because I knew I had to spend more time in my legal case. I almost replicated same thing for my family, took a social, family, emotional exile in USA for 13 months, but created a continuity for my two young boys and the home, so that as if there's nothing has happened. So they continue to stay in India. They went to the same school, although we had a financial crunch. I worked very hard. I created a separate department within Shopclues called CPIT, Core Platform Innovation Team, which was like a SWAT team, which will only focus on large innovations. Right? Even when I did not have any role, I ran that company, ran that team. I provided a lot of informal guidance. But I realized that by 6 months, I was mentally and emotionally completely broken. I felt very, very broken. And then I literally went into depression. 3, 4 months, I just could not manage nicely. But finally, Shopclues reached to a stage where I knew money will not be the reason why this company will be out of business. And I created a 6, 7 months of momentum. And finally, I realized that the worst thing human being can do be in a self pity. So I had no money, but ended up joining a gym, hired a personal trainer, went to a Craigslist, bought a second-hand golf set. Honestly, did little bit of pampering for myself because I was getting emotionally and physically damaged. That helped me to rebound. Eventually, I started noticing that the human spirit and hope are the two biggest thing which can you if you are alive, then everything else is possible. So I restarted and came with a Droom idea, ran it for a few months from Silicon Valley, from a very little office with two other team member. Had a lot of ups and downs. Like I used to buy a lunch for $7 and would use half of it for at noon and half in the late in the evening, like 7 p.m. Sometime it'll be stale, smelling bad, but I had only that much money to survive. But eventually, one thing led to another. But the biggest thing is, Shashank, that human spirit and hope just helped me to rebound. And one day, I was able to come up with a full-fledged idea for Droom. Shopclues was shaping up nicely. I was able to give my informal advice and guidance, and was able to convince two investors in the backdrop of a very high-profile legal case to give me money to build Droom. Was very lucky to have a few people who did not judge me for my legal case and found my legal case just one drop or one dot on a big piece of paper that was entire Sandeep Aggarwal, and started building Droom. And ultimately another learning I had is only thing which is inseparable from you and which defines you is your karma. So I kept on implementing what I knew, and eventually things prevailed. 1.5 years later, Shopclues became a billion-dollar company. I was back in India, and Droom had raised sizable capital and built a lot of shareholder wealth in next several years.
Wow, Sandeep, this is one of the real story from where we can learn, because such kind of crisis and getting out of that, living in that trauma, but keeping yourself very calm. You mentioned that even you were working 20 hours, you were handling a team informally. Uh, Great to learn from that, and just because of that, I think uh, I read that particular para for like 3 4 times. And to my audience, I must say that this is a nutshell. Sandeep mentioned about it, but if you really want to learn, you should definitely read that particular those pages, and you can get more and more learning, because dealing with such kind of situation makes you stronger and makes you ready for the better success. Sandeep, my next question is around that only. You mentioned when you came back to India, uh, Shopclues became entered into the unicorn club, became a billion-dollar company, and you raised the sizable amount for the Droom as well. So, coming to the second venture, how and why did you start Droom? Why you started the second venture?
Shashank, my legal case happened in July 2013. I knew at least until next 1 year, rain or shine, whether I have a formal or informal role, whether I get paid or not, Shopclues will require me because I had created it. It had a strong team, but the company needed me in order to unleash the vision we had. We were already way ahead of our competition, but it's not like that the competition was not chasing us or more companies were not getting into that space. So I kept on working on there. Every 3 4 months, I would have some assessment that yes, this company is shaping up well. Until that company did not shape well or did not give me comfort, I'll be honest with you, I had just three things. dealing with my legal case, Shopclues and its logical destination, and my family with least amount of pain and trauma. So I lived with that. And then in December, I was allowed to come to India for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. And I was here for 6 weeks. And my dear friend, one of my childhood friend, Vishesh Tandon, he saw me trying very hard for Shopclues, and he also some so he had some context about what should I be doing next. So he said, Sandeep, you're trying very hard right now. Just take your time. One day when the winds will blow in your favor, you can fly your kite again. So that was a very good advice. I went back to USA early January 2014, spent some time. And beyond that, uh, when I started realizing that Shopclues will be now in good hands, will definitely unleash its true potential, I thought I want to be king of my hill. I want to do something which I build it. I don't have, I don't need to worry about whether it is formal, informal relationship. I don't need to do anything. And I did have, I don't want to put anyone under the bus, but did have some issue with the, how the board behaved at Shopclues that time. So I knew that the verdict is on the wall, and I need to think about life beyond Shopclues. So I came up with the 52 ideas, Shashank. Each one I thought could create $1 billion company. Each of those were something which India needed in consumer internet, right? I was a Wall Street analyst, had immense knowledge on internet. But this time it was a second venture, so I was more methodical, spent a lot of time, shortlisted from 52, dropped 44 after 1 month, then dropped 6 more, left with 2 ideas. One was online mobile payment, and one was Droom. On time, on so much more has happened in on mobile payment now. That time it was very little. Even Paytm was not as famous as it is today. And of course, there was nothing called Amazon Pay, Google Pay, Bharat Pay, WhatsApp Pay, or any other UPI, etc. There was nothing called wallet here. So, but I ended up choosing Droom because I said in every country, automobile is 8 to 12% of GDP. It is sold from the time Henry Ford invented assembly line. It is sold in a 19th century way, even on 21st century. With the use of internet, mobile, and data science, you can actually create a 21st century experience because the cars became really advanced. We are talking about driverless car, right? Fully
Yeah,
connected car, EV car which can fly with a
of
single
course.
charge without fossil fuel can go 500. So I said, but why buying and selling is still 19th century? And so it looked to me very addressable, very large addressable opportunity, very thematic. And I knew with my knowledge of marketplace, internet, data science, and technology, I can create a 21st century experience. And that's how Droom came into being.
Wow. So dreaming with Droom and making it success. But I must say, Sandeep, you are, as you mentioned that you came up with 52 ideas and finally you zeroed down on Droom. You are a ideas think tank. And I've seen like in both the companies, you always addressed a sizable opportunity with the tech. Just because like you have been covering internet as an analyst, but you addressed all the problems, all the like you mentioned that buying automobile was a 19th century era and how we can enhance that. You address that with tech. My next question would be around that. Just tell something that what is the potential of digital economy in India?
Shashank, that's a great question. For context, I would say that what is happening in India since 2010 in digital economy, I would simply call that among the 5 to 7 largest man-made modern history, social transformation, wealth creation, and ability to make impact larger than life opportunity. If you go back to history, 1750 Industrial Revolution in Europe caused a massive tilt of wealth from China and India to Europe. A series of innovation in mechanical engineering, fixed price, global distribution, scale, mass manufacturing, and modern style marketing and branding appear, and it completely brought a great shift. Second one was when US was less than 100-year old, gold rush happened in California, became the foundation for a all-nighters to US economy. Third one was series of non-technology related innovations, the greatest innovations of that time in US before World War II, before World War One, created another boost to US, the third largest man-made modern history opportunity, with US leading on invention with planes, telecom, sugar, steel, oil, energy-based revolution. Next was rise of Japan after World War II. Next one was rise of again US with the revolution of semiconductor, hardware, software, internet for the last 35 years. And China becoming global hub of manufacturing in the last 4 decades. And finally, what is happening in India in last 10 years. When I came to India, so let me say this way, in 2010, India had 80 million internet users, 35 million of use mobile phone for internet, 2 million bought something for from the online, and maybe there were 20 VCs, 5 private equity funds, maybe 1 dozen angel investors, and the public and private value of $2 billion, which is the value of all the public and private companies that time, which was largely just dial Naukri.com, make my trip, and a few more. Today, India has 800 million plus internet users. There are probably 500,000 digital economy related companies, small, medium, large. 200 million out of 800 million buy something online. India has created almost 150 billion in new wealth, right? There are probably 100 VCs who operate in India. There are probably 25,000 angel investors. There are probably 50 venture capital firms which operate here. And I think by 2025, India can create $500 billion in new wealth, very deep social transformation opportunity from digital economy. By 2030, India can create $1 trillion plus in new wealth and deep social transformation and nation building. India accounted for 35% of global GDP until 1650 AD. It was less than 2% in 1992. It is 4.5% now. And one industry which can take it back to 15% in next 1.5 decade is digital. So this is a golden opportunity. It's a renaissance of digital revolution in India. And I hope a lot of people jump into the bandwagon. It has been fairly rewarding for me. And when the high tide has come, a lot of boats will go up. And I hope a lot of people take a plunge into this.
Definitely, Sandeep. I can see even questions are pouring in on the entrepreneurship only. But Sandeep, why do you call the democratization of entrepreneurship in India? What's the reason behind that?
Shashank, if you notice the 150 billion wealth, 2 million plus new jobs which never existed, and the nation adopting digital 21st century platforms, who has done this? Someone who comes from a typical middle class family background, someone who does not have a special last name, someone who was not born in a silver spoon in the mouth, someone who did not have any political connections. So that, now getting the capital is no longer privileged. Getting the capital not linked to the which school or undergraduate or master program you have or not have. Failures are acceptable. First time in free India, governments is favoring entrepreneurship. Talk about it, right? There's no. It is you fail, It's no longer socially taboo. India has created hundreds of local heroes whom you can relate to. In the past, the local heroes used to be Bollywood actors or cricket stars or real estate tycoons or businessmen with a silver spoon in mouth or political leaders. But now there are hundreds of digital economy led entrepreneurs who are local heroes. They give people in hope and strength that if he can do it, so can I. So all this is a democratization of entrepreneurship. This the in Indian history we never had these low barriers for unleashing your true potential and following entrepreneurial path. That is why there's a democratization. So what do? You have renaissance of digital economy. There's a democratization of entrepreneurship. Please jump into the bandwagon. This time will not come, and fortunes follow the brave.
No, I agree. I agree. And Sandeep, while you are asking people to take plunge for the entrepreneurship, my next question would be that only. And after that, I would love to open the floor for Q&A because there are so many questions pouring in. But I have, before the last question, I have one more question. And this is personal because, see, हर author को अपनी book ज़्यादा पसंद होती है. That's a given point. But before writing Fall Again, Rise Again, which was your favorite book?
Well, Shashank, from my childhood, I have always been into reading. I
Yeah,
think every
I can see there are so many books at your back. I
yeah,
can
yeah.
definitely
Thank.
see it.
Now my house is full of books everywhere. Every time, honestly, I read the autobiography or a biography, I think that time I literally lived through that person's life, right? Also, I'm very fond of non-fiction business books. So I think my all-time favorite author would be Malcolm Gladwell and all of his books like Tipping Point, Outlier, David and Goliath, right, and many other books he wrote. But so those are the right. But in terms of uh, from the book from Phil Knight, Nike's founder, to even Andre Agassi's biography, to Phil Thielen's, 0 to 1, to read Hoffman's story, like all these have really inspired me a lot.
Wow, so that means a successful entrepreneur always have a knack of reading. So reading should be a habit if even I want to be a successful entrepreneur. That gives me a hint. Before I open the floor for Q&A, last question to you, Sandeep. If you want to give tips, any message or tips for the budding entrepreneurs, because there are so many people joined us for this session.
Sure. So Shashank, look, I'm very fortunate to that I ended up creating two large companies in India in a digital era. My advice to everyone would be, you know why you want to be entrepreneur. Don't want to be entrepreneur because it's glamorous, it is sexy, you can make money, you can be your own boss. If you are starting this from any of these four reasons, in my view, it's not long term, it's not sustainable. Keep in mind it takes minimum 6 to 8 years to create world class company. In entrepreneurship is the most lonely choice of the career. Does not matter how blessed and lucky you are with your parents, loved ones, siblings, kids, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, social circle, you will be very, very lonely. Be ready to get rejected from an investor to a team member to a future partner and customer to a landlord of the office. Anyone who can reject you will reject. Expect there will be a Murphy law. Anything which can go wrong will go wrong. Money will always take longer than expected. Valuation will always be less than what you think you deserve. And raising capital, building the company's org structure, and teaming up with right people. There's never a science, never a never a art, very tough discipline. If you know about all these things, but you reach to a stage where the regret of not pursuing your dream, will be bigger than anything you give up, then I would say you have already hit the home run. You have arrived. Now it's just a matter of time you will reach to your destination. So, but if you are overconfident, you know how Andy Grove said, only paranoia wins, right? So, know what you are getting into. It's a real test of one's conviction. You will achieve sometime new heights, new lows. Sometime new high, new low will be 2 hour apart, which is not easy to handle, right? So all that things, if you know, then it's a very beautiful process. A lot of people happen to do this when they're 19, 20-year old. Some people do it when they lose their job. Some people do this when they lost their interest in what they do. Some people are bored. Some people are late bloomers. But honestly, there's no one set formula. 50% of entrepreneurs in Israel, which has produced some of the best entrepreneurs in the world, start after the age of 50. I had personally worked for 11 years before I founded Shopclues. I was a single bread earner, two kids, and great life. I had to. My biggest competition to start was honestly the success of my own career at that time as a Wall Street analyst. So I think, yeah, that's what I would say, Shashank.
Yeah.
It's a very, very great time to be an entrepreneur, and but it's a real test of one's conviction. Nothing is going to be straight line. So be strong. From Thomas Edison to Wright brothers to the Graham Bell, no one had just eureka moment, success by accident. So it's a series of failures lead into a big success. So keep all those things in mind, and I'm sure each one of you try will eventually will prevail big time.
Definitely, Sandeep, I understand, and I follow some of your quotes. And one, like one after reading this, "Fall Again, Rise Again," one which has become favorite of mine is, "Startup can fail, but entrepreneur never fails." With that, I'll open the floor for Q&A because there are some questions pouring in. So we'll have first question from Amit Sharma. You can see it on your screen as well. Amit want to ask, what are the major reasons of failure for startup in India?
Amit, that's a great question. Empirically speaking, there are 5 or 6 reasons for failure. One is lack of commitment, either by the founder or some of the core team members, like someone is smoking from both sides of the house, not joining full time, trying, right? Second is excessively mitigating the risk, while startup is all about taking risk. Third is not being able to raise capital on time. Fourth is suffering from delusion of grandeur and taking forever to create a company rather than believing in prototype and starting something simple and stupid and making it great over time. Sometime backstabbing, sometime loss of trust, sometime government rules and regulation changing on you, right? And lot of time you giving up 2 versions before the final successful version because you had series of disappointment and failures and rejection before. I think these would be some. And then also, please keep in mind, when you are working a corporate job, hard work will always pay. Sincerity will always pay, right? More hours will always pay. But all these will increase your likelihood of success in entrepreneurship career, but do not guarantee the success. So that is why one more reason for failure is luck. It's better to be lucky than smart. So those are the few of the reasons. And keep in mind, this is absolutely a place where there's a high 98% mortality rate. 2% of the startups survive. And out of the 2% of the startup which survive, 98% do not see a day beyond 100 million. And out of the companies who see a day beyond 100 million, 98% will not see a day beyond 100 million, or maybe only 2% will go to a billion. So it's a very high mortality rate, but that's what it is. It's very similar to medically science-wise. What is the probability and likelihood of conceiving a baby, right? So it's like that. But yeah, thank you for asking the question. But ultimately, these would be, I would say, I just picked up top reasons for failure.
Thank you, Sandeep. I hope Amit got the answer he was looking forward. Next question we'll take from Sumit Kumar Mishra. He want to ask, do you think India as a country is favorable for startup and entrepreneurs? Though you did answer, but if you want to add up anything to that.
Sumit, that's a very nice question. Uh, if I had answered this question in 2011 when I came to start Shopclues, that time I think India was not at all favorable for entrepreneurship and uh, startups. Rules and regulations were very complex and lengthy, a lot of red tapeism. Most people did not even know what does it take to work in startup. You would not find mentors. Investors were limited, and whoever was operating, they operated like a venture cap. They operated venture capitalist. They operated like a money lender in disguise of venture capitalist. Right? Failures were not acceptable, and the basic infrastructure in terms of internet speed, online payments, warehousing and fulfillment, even consumers etiquette had not evolved to the level where they could differentiate between startup making a genuine mistake on a new industry versus cheating. All that has changed, and it has become more favorable. Government has more rules and regulation becoming more favorable. Getting a chartered accountant lawyer to form a company or wind up a company is easier. Getting the money has become easier. Failure is acceptable. It's much cooler to work in a startup. Millions of people realize that the learning and challenges are unmatchable when you're a startup versus with a multinational or a large company. And India has created a lot of local heroes. So it gives you strength and hope that if they can achieve success, so can I. So it's a great time now, but it was not the case 10 years back. And I think it will only get better in coming years and decades.
Thank you, Sandeep. So, Sumit, this is the right time. You should take a entrepreneurship plunge. As Sandeep mentioned, that this is the right time to go for your startup. We'll move to the next question. Next question coming from Dr. Ambika Prasad Mishra. You have so many ideas, sir. What will be the good business idea around the alternate medicines in India? Because
Yeah.
health tech is rising in country.
Dr. Mishra, that's a great question. Look, I think if you can combine alternative medicine with the digital technologies, mobile technologies, artificial intelligence, I think it's a winning formula. With your first name as doctor, I'm assuming you are probably from the same field. COVID has only highlighted and increased the sensitivity about age-old wisdom beyond allopathy in terms of from akada to taking amla juice to how to boost the immunity, the role of yoga and meditation, and the mental health, mental and physical health well-being. In my view, it creates a great opportunity to take that knowledge, to take that discipline, and create various businesses. I don't think I can pinpoint one, that would not be fair, but from our medicine to the services to a marketplace to the export to the branded products to a product with differentiation but come from our or maybe our rich heritage in Ayurveda or homeopathic. All these, in my view, create it's very thematic, it's very fundable, and I'm also happy to speak with you. Uh, you can reach out to me at sandeepagarwal.com. But yes, in my view, many large world class companies will come who can successfully combine alternative medicine or Ayurveda or homeopathy with current 21st century digital technologies or maybe modern manufacturing or fixed price standard distribution or some kind of twist around nature, organic, no chemical, no plastic, etc. All that is a wonderful opportunity, and I hope you are doing it or taking a plunge soon, it can be very rewarding.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thanks a lot for the detailed answer. Next question coming from Subhagya Satapathy. He want to thank you for being a pathfinder for startups, and he want to ask what sectors are evolving and favorable in India for a startup now.
Uh, Sobhagya, thank you for the kind words. Look, the couple of things, India has a structural problem. So, for example, cost of capital in India is 12 to 16% versus 2% in US, less than half percent in Japan. So, any business you do where use of capital is less is good, because India has only scratched the surface. So everything is up for grab, but stay away from the businesses where capital investment is up high. Second, in India, the physical sectors, the real estate is very expensive. You may end up spending 25% of your annual income of the new business into real estate or as a tenant or into your office or shop or factory. So try to stay away from physical centers as much as you can. Beyond that, I would say just keep in mind, don't be a wannabe company. Don't be just, like for example, online travel has deeply penetrated, jobs category has deeply penetrated, main e-commerce has large players with deep pockets. But beyond that, I would really say that everything is up for grab. Like especially in digital economy, there is maybe 0.1% to 2% penetration, means as a percentage, what percentage of the total category is online? It's only 0.1% to 2%. So every category is up for grab. So just find something which you are passionate about. You are uniquely qualified to solve that problem. When someone sees a problem or a friction or opportunity as a dirt or pebble, you see it as a rock or mountain, you will be able to create a meaningful opportunity in that category.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thanks a lot for taking these questions. Considering the time, we could take that much questions only. But there's a thank you message coming from Sumit's side that we took his question, and your views will definitely help him to take his ideas forward. With
Sure.
this, we came to the end of this session. I would like to pass on a thanks to you, Sandeep. It was a wonderful session to discuss Fall Again, Rise Again with you and taking learning about your life, how you survived in the difficult time, and how you rose up. And it's not just one time. You created $2 billion companies. That was a grateful learning thing, I would say. Thanks for putting your life journey and experience in a book. I'm sure there are so many readers will learn great things from this book, and it will inspire so many people to take even plunge for entrepreneurship. With this, I would like to give a big thanks to you. To our attendees, we are conducting the 81st Bhav Samvad, and I request everybody to catch the wonderful series at Kalinga Literary Festival. But before that, big thanks to you, Sandeep, for joining us and uh, uh, doing this discussion. It was seriously
Thank
very
you.
inspiring.
Thank you, Shashank. Thank you, Kalinga Literary Festival. Thank you
Yeah.
for hosting me. It was a wonderful discussion. I hope a lot of you take a plunge into entrepreneurial journey. Please, idea is one thing, but ability not to give up, believing in luck, ability to attract talent, ability to raise money, and not doubting your own conviction would reward you big time. If any one of you want to discuss your idea, want to reach out, you can email me at sandeep@sandeepagarwal.com. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you, everyone.
Wow. So you guys can reach out to Sandeep at sandeep@sandeepagarwal.com. And as I said, Kalinga Literary Festival concluding the 81st Bhav Samvad today. And I request everybody to catch the wonderful series Kalinga Literary Festival running on the weekends. What you need to do is like every weekend, you can just check in the social pages on Kalinga Literary Festival and catch such amazing conversation on the book with exciting authors. To get more such session, I request my attendees to even donate to Kalinga Literary Festival to bring such sessions to you. And you can do instamojo.com Kalinga Fest. You can donate there. Thanks a lot, everyone, and have a great rest of the Sunday. Big thanks to everyone.